Hi, this is Lou Pulsifer, and the topic today is need to knows when conceiving a new game. And that's new video game, tabletop game, it doesn't matter. So this is about the conception of the game before you start to make a prototype. And of course that's for beginners, though experienced designers go through the same process. There's not a ranked order in my 9 things. There's no intention to imply that the first is most important or last is least important. So here's the list, or the first part of the list, and I'm not going to talk about it because I'll be going through each item individually. So you take care of these 9 things, and then you make your prototype or cause it to be made, as the case may be. If it's a video game, you probably want to see if you can make a paper prototype first, because you can save a lot of time and effort getting rid of ideas that just aren't very good. So, write everything down. If it isn't written down, it doesn't count. You may think your memory is good, it may be good, but you're not going to remember everything. And my observation is that memories aren't what they used to be. There's a notion that senior citizens have CRS, which stands for can't remember stuff. And I'm a senior citizen. But to me it seems that virtually everyone has CRS nowadays. It's because we use computers and smartphones and so on. In my experience, young adults don't write anything down in class, but they don't remember much. If you write down what you're thinking about, you can read it later, and that will stimulate new thoughts and new ideas. So write it all down. And when I say that, you can record it rather than write it, but have a record, and a record that can be copied so you don't lose it all because something happens with your computer or otherwise. Conceive a game, not a story. Most aspiring designers, and I find this is especially true for video games, where they perhaps don't really understand how complicated it is to make a video game. When they're asked to conceive a game, they end up with a story. Well, a game is a set of mechanics, not a story. If you have no mechanics, you have no game. Stories are a marketing device. And the stories bought for game purposes are ones that are already well known, such as movies and novels. You might have a good game that ends up having a good story, but that's not why they bought it. It's easy to imagine that you're going to have a great story, but hard to pull off in practice. Everybody thinks they're going to have a great story, but that's not the way it is. Furthermore, a game has to have a structure. And we'll talk a little bit about that more in a moment. Decide fairly early who your audience is. Specifying your audience provides constraints, and all games are made within a set of constraints. Imagine making a game for 4-year-olds. Or making a game to promote same-sex marriage. Both will provide a great many constraints and will be very, very different. When you decide who your audience is, you provide yourself with a set of constraints. Now, it's conceivable, it's possible that you'll change your mind later, but you've got to pick some audience to begin with. You can't make a game that's going to satisfy everybody, not even close. Always keep in mind, what is the player going to do? Games are activities. People want to do something. Now, having said that, it may be that they want to think. It may be that they want to be led around by the nose, sort of told a story where they just sort of go along for the ride. But that's still doing something. They want to do something. If the player doesn't enjoy what he or she is doing, can the game be successful? So put yourself in the player's place in your mind and go through the game and ask yourself, is this going to be enjoyable for people in my target audience? Now, I've developed a framework of 10 fundamental structures of games. It was 9 for a long time, and I've added user interface. And I think you should go through lists like this and make decisions so that you're concrete and not vague. For example, 3. Objective victory conditions. You need to decide how somebody's going to win the game or succeed at the game. Don't leave that out. Don't say, oh, it'll take care of itself. Information availability. You've got to decide how much information the players are given. You have a game like chess where the players have all the information except the intentions of the other player. You have card games where much of the information is hidden on the cards, and so forth. And I have other videos that talk about these, and I also talk about them at length in my book, Game Design. Use additional questions and points of view to help clarify your intentions. So I have a list of essential questions that you should answer when you're conceiving a game. That's also in my book, Game Design. Jesse Schell has 100 lenses in his game design book. You can find lots of individual articles and blog posts about such questions. Ask yourself these questions. It'll help you make your conception more concrete. Play the game in your mind's eye, quote unquote. You can learn a lot about your conception by playing bits of it in your mind. I'm not saying play all the way through. I'm saying play a bit of it that you're thinking about. In effect, this is the first step of playtesting. Put yourself in the place of a player, choose a stage of the game, ask yourself what's happening, ask yourself what the player sees and hears, and what the player does. This will tell you about many things you've left out, or that you ought to leave out before you make a prototype. Don't be reluctant to talk about the game with others. This is a cardinal sin of many novice designers. They think they have a wonderful idea for a great game. Well, they don't, and anyway, it's been thought of before. Ideas are mostly worthless. But to these people, it's new, and they don't have an objective view of the matter, and so they try to keep it secret. But you can't. You've got to playtest the game sooner or later. It's impossible to keep it secret. You're better off talking with people early on and getting rid of a lot of dud ideas. No one wants to steal your idea. The stealing that happens in games, which is mostly in video games, is only of completed games that have been successful, and then they get cloned. Don't be reluctant to move on to the next idea. Most ideas aren't worth much. Yes, it's your idea, but it's still not worth much. Or the idea won't be worth much until you've tried to use it several different times. It's the old quotation, Rome wasn't built in a day. At some point, if you're trying to make an inappropriate idea work, you're being less efficient than if you move on to the next idea and see what happens. After all, you should have lots of ideas. If you've been working on getting ideas, you'll have lots of them. So if I tried to summarize this in a few words, I'd say get concrete, not vague. Stories won't do it, emotions won't do it. A game has to have mechanics. The mechanics have to be used by a player. Something has to happen. That's what you need to focus on. Thanks for listening.